Welcome to the Simon Says Music podcast. In this series, we will be talking to unsigned and independent music artists and bands about their musical journey so far. In the podcast, I will be joined by my very good friend, music producer, technician, and everything else, Nathan Scott.
Pleasure to be here. Please drop a subscribe on wherever you're listening to this. It helps us out more than you can know, and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to the Simon Says Music podcast, and today we are joined by a band, which is very exciting. They were formed in South England, inspired by the likes of Muse, Pink Floyd and Black Sabbath. I would like to introduce you all to Regional One. Hello everyone.
Oh yeah.
Hello.
Let's get started straight away with introductions to who you are and what you do in the band.
All right. I'm Simon. I'm lead vocals for Regional One.
You can tell he gets really close to the microphone. he's a trained vocalist. I'm Stevie. I'm lead guitarist.
I'm Callum, lead bass.
Lead bass.
Lead bass.
I like that. So
Yeah.
then, how would you describe your music to new fans, to everyone?
Sure. So I'd say we're melodic hard rock and metal. Take inspiration from, as you said, Black Sabbath or older styles, but more Avenged Sevenfold, Muse, all the kind of modern giants that are coming out now.
We've got so much varieties and like sounds that we do now. Like we've been obviously having lockdown and we've been working on new stuff, and there's a lot more variation coming out of the music that we're writing, especially like at the moment, as opposed to like the stuff that's come out before. So it's kind of hard to quantify at the moment, like. But yeah, I'd say somewhere around like the Muse Avenged Sevenfold vibe, anywhere in that area. Darts at a dartboard.
How have you found lockdown? Have you guys still managed to do much writing or meet up in any way?
Yeah, I mean, we've been quite limited, but we have a demo set up, so we have been writing away. We've got some new tracks that we want to push out probably toward the end of the year.
Awesome.
And sort of in between the lockdowns, we've managed to get in the studio, so we've got a few new tracks going there. But yeah, during the lockdown, we've done plenty. Planning a few music videos as well, and we're planning to sort of shoot and direct our own music video for the first time, either start of June or start of July, I think.
Oh, awesome. That sounds great. So you had a studio that you managed to go to. You didn't try and like all remote record stuff from each other's houses.
No, not really. We do a bit in terms of demoing. We certainly record at home, but the actual stuff we do all in a studio.
Yeah, I thought it'd be quite tricky for a whole band to. I'm just going to record my part and chuck it
The
in.
live
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah, the Zoom practice would be perfect.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Oh, I don't know how well that'd work.
Yeah, the latency and everything, I'm not sure.
Absolutely not. Zero chance of that happening.
So how did the name Regional One come about then?
So this is a really old name actually. So the first time it came about was back in college. So the band Regional One was the first band out of a college which was called the Academy of Contemporary Music Regional. So quite creatively, we thought the Regional One would do it. But there are some more solid concepts evolving around the name as well at the moment that we'll push out further down the line.
Have you are you thinking about changing the name then?
No.
No, not changing it.
Yeah, we've started the deep lore.
The deep
lore. Yeah, so we started to form some pretty strong ideas around sort of how we can take the name into the concept of the band a bit more and tie it into the music videos and create our own little cinematic universe almost.
Nice.
Well, it's worked for Marvel, so why not? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You gotta go the whole hog. The
Absolutely.
Regional One cinematic universe. That's the one.
I'd buy
How-
into that.
It sounds really weird, but I was going to say, how did you meet each other?
So me and Stevie, we've known each other since about a week old.
Yeah, literally.
Wow.
Yeah. But the other guys, so Callum, we kind of met through the band and getting really drunk at a local club.
As you do.
Yeah,
As you do.
absolutely. Sort of local music hotspot down here. We all sort of met up at, and then Aaron, who can't be here this evening, our new drummer, we met through the band as well.
I'll flash up a picture of him in the edit. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
get your attention.
Hi, Aaron.
Oh, we can
Boom.
find
Find
one.
you,
We'll
Yeah,
find
really-
you a
really
stellar
flattering,
picture of
really
him.
This should be one of those TV high waves like they do on the TV or something, isn't it, when they're not there.
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be hard to convince him. We just get him to like get a green screen and come in and just like,
Oh, look, there he is now.
there he is, right as we speak.
There he
Aaron,
goes.
What are you doing in my
Nice
room?
way.
Just make it work for the editors, you know.
So I bet So how long have you guys played together as this lineup?
So yeah, this lineup we met Aaron just before the lockdown. So
Yeah, literally.
we've not gigged with him yet. But we've been
Alright.
rehearsing together quite a while.
Have we not?
That's
No,
a
we've
lot
not
of pressure
gigged
on
with
him.
Aaron,
Then.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That
absolutely,
seems
yeah,
insane to me, but yeah.
yeah, it's crazy.
He should be able to nail every song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
say honestly, he is he is pretty on it though. Like we've had drummers in the past, obviously, but Aaron really is like he's just meshed in so well because we
Yeah,
basically
drum.
like we headhunted him essentially. But honestly, yeah, I couldn't imagine anyone else playing drums for us now, to be honest.
Yeah, it's nice when you get that fit because I know a lot of bands normally recycle the drummer more than anything else. It seems to be, along with hitting things hard, comes attachment issues really with drummers.
It does
And
seem to be.
they can't commit all the time and things like that. So if you found one that's great, keep hold of him.
Yeah, no.
Absolutely, yeah.
So who comes up with the songs in your band then?
We all do our part on the songs. So we'll start with a concept or a riff or even a drum groove. We'll build up around it from there. So it's quite nice where we're all in on the writing process with this band.
No, literally, it'll be like Cam will bring it apart on a bass, or I'll bring it apart from guitar, and we'll literally just. It's either a case of that one person's already kind of worked out like a song, but we'll always bring it in and we'll always sort of like workshop it. So we'll all just be involved, basically. It's not like a one-man thing.
And I take it that's the same with lyrics as well. The lyric process, rather.
I tend to write most of the lyrics, but yeah, we
Honestly,
do.
not so
we bat the
much.
ideas around. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Who,
you tend to
who's
do
the
your
biggest
own.
diva in the group?
The diva.
Yeah, I'm gonna
There's
go.
always-
Eeny, meeny, miny,
There's
moe.
always one,
Biggest
isn't there?
diva.
Oh, that's
No.
a tough
I
one.
don't know. I think we've weeded out the divas, mate. That's
Yeah.
It's Simon. It's
We're
Simon.
completely
That's
diva. it's straight up Simon.
Man, isn't it?
If I've not got my special mic stand,
Oh yeah, his mic
Yeah.
stand. If the sound guy won't put on his effects pedals, he gets upset.
Oh.
So have you all been musicians? I was gonna say all your lives, but then you're only probably about 12 each.
All of my life, I was born with a guitar.
I mean, are you part of music? It sounds like was it the Sound of Music when I say, are you part of a musical family?
We're actually part of the Von Trapp family. All of us.
yeah. No, I don't know about you guys. My family's not too musical, really.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, well, so I myself have been playing ever since I was like probably like say about 12, maybe a little bit younger. Like my mum's always sort of played ish, like not really the same song on repeat through my childhood.
Was it one?
So I guess
Oh yeah, was it Wonderwall?
no, it's not
Who's
Wonderwall.
swearing on
It's
it? Get out! Get out!
it's Horse with No Name, and I don't even know who it's by. But
America! Oh God!
I literally know all of it, just over and over again. I can't. It's like ingrained in my head from being raised around it. But yeah, no, quite a long time ever since.
If
Then.
anyone wants to sing it, please carry on.
We'll get the PNG. The PNG of Aaron comes in
On his horse.
with no name.
Well, you can just assume a stickman's Aaron.
Clear your
I'm so
mind
kind.
and imagine a
That's how
stick man.
amazing my art skills are.
And close your eyes. Imagine the most
Yeah.
vivid stick man you've ever seen. He's so rich and filled out. Yeah, it's him. The only man you're ever gonna need.
So have you got any crazy stories from playing live? Any or even any time it's gone drastically wrong for maybe at least one of you? And yeah,
Not too
Playing
much, really. I
live.
mean, in the early days, we obviously cut out a few sound protection systems. Got too loud in the odd pub and whatnot. but
that's
that's
Yeah,
part and parcel. Yeah, the only time really I've had a real screw up on stage, I think, is we had a particularly emotional song, and I dedicated it to one of the
I'd forgotten all about.
Yeah, one of my mates' dads, he died like a few days before, and I couldn't do it. I was welling up and all sorts. I wasn't ready for that. I'm not very emotional, so that,
he's an emotionally constipated man. He got on stage, and we got
I was not ready for that
because like it's a long intro, like musically anyway. But we got to the like lyrics, and he just didn't do anything. He just didn't sing. He was just there like.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rock ballad, but it ended up sounding kind of like a Tool track.
Yeah, it's all right. We commit.
The odd word that cut in.
But yeah, no, honestly, I think that's about the only thing that we've done like wrong live wise.
Yeah, I think the audience were pretty understanding as well. It wasn't like they were bothered or anything. They seemed to quite like it. So
They probably thought it was one of those meditation tracks or something.
Do you try and make your like live performances like different each time? Do you try and like nail like, almost the idea of perfection as a band, of each practice?
We practice pretty solid, so we'll rehearse a set and we'll rehearse roughly the amount of time I'll be speaking in between sets or any bits that we'll be doing. But yeah, we try to make it a bit of a spectacle. Quite like sort of Iron Maiden style performances where one day hopefully we'll have that kind of budget where we can really bring in
just
some stage
throw
props
everything at it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're looking at some stage props that we want to get done. So we want to do like a CCTV camera with an eyeball in it with a flashing light, and we want to do a few bits, maybe a projector that projects some of the animated videos and whatnot. But we try and make it pretty full on, really.
We've definitely got a few ideas for like intros and just random things we could do, just because.
Oh
just,
yeah, we
do.
I know what you're thinking of.
Yeah, I know.
We did do a good Star Wars one actually. We did
Oh yeah.
I don't know how we got away with it. It was like one of our earlier headline gigs, and we did like a 2.5 minute compilation intro.
Because we could.
Yeah, Duel of the Fates with loads of like politicians and world leaders shouting at each other over the top of it. It's pretty good fun.
On paper as well, that was so much longer than I thought that was ever gonna be. Ever. Like when you explained that idea to me, I was like, yeah, that'd be funny. And then honestly, it just didn't stop. It kept going. I wasn't ready for it at all.
Yeah, so we've got another one that we want to try at some point, which is a Jurassic Park based intro.
That's it. We're not saying any more about that. So we're ready for that.
Yeah, I can't wait.
People will have to turn up live to see that.
Yeah, exactly. That's a rare treat.
That'll be a one-off, that one, I reckon.
The rare Jurassic Park intro.
You mentioned you guys are doing a music video or planning to, this summer. Can you talk a bit more about that? How you're approaching that?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, the first time ever we've written a full screenplay for this one. The song is pretty much ready. And we've got a 10-page shot-by-shot screenplay for the video we want to shoot. Obviously, we'd have probably done it a bit earlier, but the lockdowns have made it a bit difficult to get people together. But we'll be looking at basically doing it all ourselves. We've got a few people who have sort of formed the camera team. We've got a few makeup artists. We've got a prop designer, and we've got someone doing sort of the outfits as well. But yeah, we're looking at trying to shoot a few music videos in one day with this one. We want to get as much as we can out of having the venue. So we'll do a photo shoot, video shoot, and then a live video shoot as well.
A busy few days.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a few 12-hour days, I think.
Can you give us any insight into like the theme of it?
Yeah, sure. So this is where the Regional 1 concept is going to start hopefully moving forward. We're going to create this little dystopian future of our own. In this particular instance, it'll be about the super rich of this dystopian future, essentially bidding on people's souls and purchasing them and ingesting them. So yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. I like that concept.
Yeah,
we're going for the dark stuff. We've got a few things that will back off of this as well that we think we can pull out the bag.
Yeah,
but don't forget, you've got Aaron's stunt double as well.
Stick man.
Easy work.
He doesn't feel any pain.
Sticks don't have nerves.
How much do you reckon Stickman's soul is worth, realistically? How much would you bid for Stickman's soul?
1/4 portion.
So when you're, like I said, going back to writing lyrics and composing music and anything, do you actually listen to any other bands, like I said, your inspirations to get ideas, or do you just follow your own path, as it were?
a pretty solid mix of both, really. So a lot of bands have, quite solid lyrics, obviously, that sort of you can stem off of the concept. Some of the darker concepts come from more of a proggy background, so if we can push that into more of a sort of almost more commercial hard rock metal background, then that's the kind of thing we'd like to do, I think. Get that darkness in there, but not make it so dark that it turns people off to the sound. But lyrically, often, sort of, a lot of the time, write a character in my head and sort of try and imitate the thoughts and feelings of it.
It's weird. Like, we're very, because the way I write music and the way Cy writes lyrics, I think is very similar. Like, we're very like visual based. So we'll get like the idea of a scene or like an image in our head, and we'll write almost around that, if that makes sense. Like, it's hard to sort of put into words when you do that sort of thing, but
yeah,
you can imagine.
Good example of that. Bedlam, I think, when we were writing
definitely.
We were thinking about asylums in the Victorian era. So we,
as you do,
we wrote about that, and for example, the name Bedlam is the nickname given to Bethlehem Asylum, which was a pretty dark place in the UK. And we pushed off the end of that and ended up writing about this sort of theoretical character that went through this whole situation in the asylum, and then that's how the song came about.
I was just gonna say, are most of your songs dark like that, or do you have? That's sounding terrible. Do you have any happy songs, as it were?
Any rainbows and unicorns?
No, absolutely not.
No, we have a song about drinking and drugs as well. We got like a good.
That's true.
Rise is pretty uplifting.
Rise is good, yeah. We
Literally uplifting. It's
Literally,
called
yeah.
Rise.
That's
Nice.
lift up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. And they're more sort of inclusive to the audience. So, I mean, core lyrics of that is, we stand together. So it's kind of inclusive sounding, I guess.
So it sounds like your songs and your performance is quite theatrical,
Oh yeah, for sure.
in that sense. And do you rehearse those aspects as well, or do you sort of get on stage and see what comes out?
With that sort of stuff, like as I was saying earlier, we always go in when we do practice. If we run the set, we always do the like little gaps in between. It's like, what we're going to talk about, how long roughly we're going to talk about it for. But with specific theatrical bits, like we definitely want to get into planning. Like again, like we said earlier, when we've got like the bigger budget and things, we'll definitely go into planning specific set pieces to do at certain times. Like we've talked a little bit about this sort of stuff. But
yeah, I mean, we've brought on our own sound engineer now, who hopefully will cover a bit of lights
Georgie
as well. So that'll be something we can experiment more with. But we do try and, there are certain songs that do require a little bit of a planned element to the style of performance. So again, back to our song Rise, it's unison and it's bouncy. So I know in that song that I'm going to tell the crowd to jump, and hopefully they follow suit. But we try not to make it too contrived. But again, we'll always have a rough idea of what we're going for. And it does very much depend on the crowd as well,
Yeah, and I think that there are quite a few risks on there. I remember I went to a gig and there was this woman had some cinematic up next to her and she's playing some chords, and quite literally every 30 seconds she'd go and that went on for 40 minutes. And everyone was just sort of stood there like, what the hell is going on? And I think keeping it, founded in the music and not, as you said, trying not to be too contrived, because it's so easy to get carried away with those concepts. And do you often find yourself thinking, well, we can't actually pull that off, let's try and rein that in? Or are you just all about let's make it all happen?
No, we're sort of all out balls out. We'll
we're
do it anyway.
Way more stubborn than that. What do you mean?
We've been pretty lucky with that as well. I think there's maybe been one time where I've done the sort of Freddie Mercury repeat. I think maybe once we haven't had a response to a question, but that was a lot of grunge bands at that gig, so I'm assuming everyone was depressed anyway. They didn't seem happy to be there. I don't know. Normally we have a really good reaction from an audience, and obviously there's a certain element from the performance front of it that you need to understand how people work a bit and be obvious with what you're doing as well, because if you don't tell them sometimes, then they won't do it until you do tell them. So we seem to get away with it somehow.
Yeah, somehow pretty consistently.
Yeah,
it's yet to go too badly, put it that way.
Then one of the questions I would probably ask is, or try and put it together is because you're a band and you work together really well,
Mm.
allegedly.
Allegedly.
How, yeah,
Allegedly.
like allegedly, yeah. How do you find working together, like on songs, without if somebody writes something that's probably like crap? How would you tactfully tell them, or would you
Um,
say that's crap and then move on with it?
we sort of tend to develop it into a demo anyway.
Yeah,
'cause we can
like-
always cut it out afterwards. Yeah, I mean, it's worth exploring, and that's something as a piece of advice in general I'd say to any band is explore the idea, and if it's no good at the end of it, just make sure you at least get the idea out, because
Like
a lot of the
literally.
times, yeah, songwriting between different musicians, often the real issue will be communication.
Yeah.
So if I've got an idea in my head and we start making a song and it's not quite what I'd imagined yet, but then we cut it off halfway because we think, oh, it's not really going anywhere. It could be a missed opportunity.
Yeah, no, I mean, we've done that with a few songs and riffs and choruses and random things now where we'll literally take it, like we'll all go around Size because he's got like a little home setup or whatever, and we'll all jam it out there, or we'll take it into like a live setting and we'll all play around with it there and see what, can we actually make this into anything? Is this worth actually going through like the actual process with? But I can't think off my head a time where we've done that and it hasn't like come out benefiting us, you know? So it's definitely worth going through the process with all the little bits.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you find that more rewarding than sort of a simple, let's just sit down and write, and and the first idea is the last idea? Do you get more satisfaction out of really trying to craft it?
Yeah, definitely, yeah, I'd say
Yeah,
so.
because what we'll do is we'll get that initial, if we can, into a demo, that initial energy, or we'll video it or something, and we'll look for that, because when the idea's first there, you get quite excitable, and like in a live room, for example, if we come up with a certain progression or riff, the room itself makes a difference, and how loud everything is makes you more excited about it. So putting it into an almost sort of more quantifiable recording of it, so you can look back at a later date and go, okay, that's not as good as I thought it was at the time. That helps a lot. But yeah, then we'll get that baseline of it down, real basic version of it, and then we'll build up from there most of the time.
So you're saying that you record yourselves on video or something like that?
Yeah.
Each practice as well?
As much as we can, really.
Yeah,
It's
more
the most
often
useful
than
thing.
not. Yeah.
I think that's really smart. Well, I've done that before in bands, and as you say, sometimes in the moment you can either get carried away and you look back and go, "Oh, that wasn't quite right," or I don't remember it that way, etc. Or it could be the other way. You might think, "Oh, it was just one of those things," and then you actually look back on it and go, "Actually, no, that worked really well." So I think that's smart.
No, for sure.
For anyone listening, that
going
wants
back to your question from earlier as well, like it definitely helps with all the live stage performance stuff, because I know when you're first starting to like play live and play on stage, and we were talking about Aaron hasn't been on stage with us yet. It's definitely a lot. It's helpful to have